Yeah, to Brad's point, like you're gonna have, an extra 12K in your pocket there once you fill up the houses. So is that kind of your plan with FHA? You have to commit to it being your primary residence for 1 year. Are you planning to move out, get another property in the next year?
I think I'll give it a little bit more time than a year. I was thinking 2 years minimum is what I'll do. I have pretty big plans for this property once I do move out. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm giving it 2 years, just make the proper updates I want, and
Hmm.
so that I can keep my roommates for my next house hack. I don't want to, bring them here, then tell them, all right, time to leave.
Yeah.
So for my roommate's sake, I think, and just because the plans I have and updates I'm making, I think 2 years minimum. I plan on still doing house hacking and kind of just rolling it out like that.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a compound interest to it. I mean, like what Brad was talking about. You see people talk about index funds, dividend paying stocks and all that stuff. And it shows this like graph that's low, 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 and then just shoots right up after like 15 and 20 years. Real estate does the exact same thing. It pays you compound interest. House hacking, you're saving, your $500 in rent, you're cash flowing 600. You're gonna roll that into another property in 2 years. Plus, you're gaining the equity of this house over those 2 years. So, I mean, everything is just compounding and compounding. And if you continue to roll it into another property and another property, I mean, you're just building wealth really fast that way.
And that's the thing that, not to go down another rabbit hole, but that's the thing that people don't really talk about. Well, they do talk about it, but maybe people don't think about it at first, is that there are really four pillars of why people invest in real estate, right? And we know the cash flow, right? We look at the cash flow, like, right now you're in theory cash flowing about 800. Of course, you got to pay utilities and maintenance and things of that nature. So there's a little bit more, a little bit less than that, but still you're cash flowing. But then there's, tax benefits in depreciation is at the top of that. The ability to depreciate a property while in theory it's appreciating, and in theory you're making money from that asset, just like a dividend in the stock market, right? So you're extracting money through a dividend. The property is probably appreciating in value over time, but then at the same time, to the IRS, you're actually, they're allowing you to say that the property is going down in value. So you're creating the spread between appreciation and depreciation. You lower your taxable income, right? That's obviously a good thing. But over time, and it takes a little while for this to happen, but debt pay down, right? You talked about the people in the back paying off your mortgage for you. Well, in theory, that is absolutely correct, right? And so they are going to pay off the mortgage on this property. You aren't going to have to. And so maybe in a 5-year scope, that doesn't happen that much. But once you get past kind of year 8, it starts to dramatically increase how much how quickly you're paying this place off. And so you're increasing that equity. That's a part of it. And so there's just a lot to real estate that I think escapes our imagination
Mhm.
originally. And if we can just, solely focus on the fact that, yeah, it takes a lot of fuel to get that rocket ship off the ground. But if we could scrape together that money, that over time, if we look at the graph like Drew illustrated, and I know Drew's very much a visual numbers guy, and so he loves graphs, he loves those images. If you put what 1 or 2 or 3 house hacks does to your wealth building on a graph over time, and you give it 30 to 50 years, it's just absolutely dramatic.
Yeah, especially, you got the savings rate. The savings rate and the cash flow is gonna get you a second property in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like Brad said, in 8 years, you got that equity build up. Well, now you can do a cash out refinance. You can do something along those lines. And that's leverage. That's gonna get you another property. So I mean, this house hack is gonna get you a property in 2 years, it's gonna get you a property in 8 years. And then all the cash flow, it's gonna get you maybe another property in between those two terms. Eventually you're gonna be at the point where you don't have to house hack if you don't want to. Putting 20% down on a property is going to be no big deal.